Hi everyone, welcome. I'm preparing to feed my outdoor worm bag, and I thought I'd really quickly provide a little preview as to the stuff that they're going to be getting today. In addition to an assortment of some delicious foods, which include cucumber peel, part of a rotting tomato, and a bunch of spoiled cherries. And by the way, these are pitted cherries. Little joke hidden in there for some of you who might recognize what I'm referring to, but I'm not going to elaborate beyond that. In addition to the delicious foods, there's also a nice assortment of leaves out of my collection of leaves, and I thought that the leaves would be a really nice complement to what this system has received over the past few check-ins. So the last check-in included a whole bunch of shredded cardboard, and then the previous check-in to that included a whole bunch of shredded paper. So after the assortment of shredded paper and cardboard, I thought that the fitting follow-up to that would be shredded leaves. So that's what they're getting today, and quite a bit of it as well. Just like the past two check-ins, we've been really generous on providing shredded stuff as bedding supplements. Looks like these little guys are doing quite a number on the top covering cardboard as well as the top covering paper. I mean, the top covering cardboard is still sort of almost recognizable as a circular shaped piece of material, even though it's sort of destroyed down the middle. But this piece of paper bag that was also serving the same function of top covering, I think will simply become supplementary bedding as part of the feeding today. So I moved the system out of the direct sunlight because it's a little bit later in the day than I would normally be out here to do this, and because of that I ended up finding a whole bunch of worms right beneath this system, which I picked up off the ground and I threw in here. And one of the worms just did not even seem to me like your typical composting worm. It was this really big fat worm. I didn't know what the heck this thing was, but I thought I would throw it in here to keep our composting worms company. I don't know if anybody out there really knows their worms perhaps a little bit better than me, but this might not even do very well in a composting bin. This might be more like an earthworm or something, I don't know. But the little guy is certainly thick and fat and healthy looking, and it was just hanging out there underneath this system along with the rest of the, I don't know what these are, red wigglers, European night crawlers. I don't know what lives out here in my outdoor worm bag, but this guy was just such a big huge worm that I couldn't resist just throwing him in here and seeing if we can maybe have him motivate all the other worms in here to possibly grow to that big humongous size. Although something about the appearance of that worm, it just doesn't strike me as your typical composting worm. So I think we're already beginning to encounter some of the shredded cardboard that had been laid in here as the bedding last time. The bedding that we found when we came in here last time, all the shredded paper that was down in the feeding area, just got blended in throughout the system into the material at large. And I wondered if we might want to do that again today. In order to make that easy on ourselves, last time we were in here, we simply removed the large chunks of food scraps that were in here as leftovers from previous check-ins. Stuff like these mango seeds, stuff like those corn cobs. Those are just the sort of things that are going to take a while to break down in the worm bin. So we'll continue to run into those things as leftovers for the foreseeable future. But I think in order for us to do what we did last time, which is to sort of just blend in all the old bedding, it would be easiest to simply remove these temporarily. So I'm going to do just that. Let's get these out of our way, and then we'll do a quick stir of all the stuff in here, blending in all this old bedding, making room for the new fresh stuff. I was curious again, like I was last time, whether that big huge quantity of dry cardboard getting thrown in here would result in the stuff sucking up the system's moisture and resulting in the bin becoming sort of dry. But once again, we've had a good amount of rain since the previous check-in, so I think that we're once again in a pretty good condition here as far as moisture content goes. Here's our big fat friend. Every time we bump into this guy, we're gonna spot him from a mile away. He's so huge. So it is kind of nice to see how nice and damp everything is in here, including all the shredded cardboard that got placed in here. dry during the last check-in and feeding. The stuff that they got last time, I'm trying to remember if it's going to occur to me what type of food we gave them last time. It's not ringing a bell, but maybe it'll come to me. Maybe not. I think I was more preoccupied with just the activity of blending in all the old bedding material before applying the new and giving them their feeding when I watched the last check-ins video. But I'm certainly not observing anything that looks like leftovers from the last check-in. Like I said, the leftover mango seed and the leftover corn cobs go back many feedings. They've been in here for quite some time. The one thing that I did notice, though, I thought that I sensed the essence of citrus. So perhaps we threw some lemon in here last time. That's my guess, just based on that little whiff of it that I caught earlier. But I think we're just going to follow suit with what we did last time, because it did seem to me like it was a good way to go. And here's a fourth piece of corn cob. Something did tell me that there were 4 corn cobs, so I did have that sense that we were missing one when we pulled those other 3 out. But now we're really just down to worm castings and leftover bedding from the last time. Maybe just a little tiny bit of leftover this and that. Maybe we'll bump into like a, I don't know, the peel of a lemon or something, because I can still smell it in here, so that must mean there is some trace of it remaining. But I think we've managed to stir up the entire contents and blend in the old stuff. It seems like it's pretty much everywhere. Everything's got a little bit of the old shredded cardboard mixed into it now, and I think the worms really like that. Even last time, I was getting the sense that they're probably really going to appreciate having all that old shredded paper they'd gotten the time before blended into the material at large, and now there's even more stuff blended into the material at large. So I think that this is probably a good recipe, and I'm really glad to see that the moisture level of the dry stuff we've been adding lately is pretty good as well, since what they're getting today is, again, dry. But let's make sure we get all that stuff placed in first, and it is quite a bit of stuff. And then on top of that can come the new stuff. Well, not the new stuff yet. First the leftovers. Leftover corn cobs, leftover mango seeds. And then in can come the nice juicy new stuff. So, let's get that stuff over here. Believe it or not, I actually went through this whole package of old forgotten cherries that were in the back of the refrigerator, and I actually did remove all the pits, because I don't know, finding pits in my compost later is just sort of a drag, so I didn't really want to go through that. At some point in the future, I figured I would just take that couple extra minutes of prep time and gradually remove all the seeds from those cherries, and then at some point when we get around to using this batch of compost, it won't be littered with all kinds of cherry pits. So you can see that every time I freeze cucumber peel, the moisture in the stuff sort of just starts to freeze and creates little ice cubes all over the place. So that's actually quite perfect, if you ask me. All that moisture is going to drip down into the dry leaves below, making for a nice comfortable spot underneath the food. So I think that pretty much gets us to where we want to be. So now let's see. Yeah, we did take that piece of paper bag that was resting out on the top surface, and we incorporated it in with the rest of the bedding, so that's been recycled in a sensible way. However, the old cardboard covering is going to be just coming right back in and resuming its top covering function as it's been ever since it was placed in here new. But I do wonder how much longer it's going to last, considering the pace at which it's getting nibbled away. It seems like the worms are starting to really take a shine to this stuff, despite the fact that we've been pretty generous with bedding and given them plenty of similar stuff down within the system to nibble on. So all we've got left now is to return the plywood top covering, and we're finished. So that's it for the check-in, everyone. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, then as always, please don't forget to leave me a quick thumbs up before you go. That's always really appreciated. And if you haven't done so already, please also consider subscribing to the channel. That's very much appreciated as well. All right, everyone, thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye now.